Are you serious? We're talking Yahoo News here. Okay. The Deadbirds, Arkansas, New Year's Eve, 2 years in a row. Once again, the mass media is beginning to pick it up. Just this morning, I seen that the International Business Time, God Discussions, The Week, the Australian News, the Business News, and now Yahoo News has picked up the story of the Deadbirds. And I'm in the article. I'm quoted. And this time, Yahoo's not throwing me under the bus here, but they're actually saying Begley and the Hosea Prophecy may be a legitimate reason. It's not the only reason I think it could be, but at least they're seeing it, and that's important. And actually, they should be commended for that, because what they're saying is, guys, we do have to take another look at what he's saying here, because these other theories, people aren't buying it. Okay, let's read the article. Ominously, scores of blackbirds once again fell from the sky above a small southern town on New Year's Eve. But this time, the intentional mischief may be to blame. Let's watch that. Here we go again. Last year's New Year's Eve, some 5,000 blackbirds dropped from the sky in Begley, Arkansas, a small town about 35 miles from Little Rock. The subsequent media frenzy fueled plenty of dire apocalyptic theories. This weekend, the new year once again brought scores of dead blackbirds to Begley. Here, a concise guide to the seemingly eerie coincidence. Why did the birds die last year? Well, the conventional wisdom says fireworks. The celebratory explosions unexpectedly caused the blackbirds to become disoriented and to fly all over the place, according to the Arkansas officials. They say birds slammed into buildings, telephone poles, and trees, according to the state officials. Why are the blackbirds specifically afflicted, is the next question. Well, they were in the wrong place at the wrong time. Begley is home to a large roost of blackbirds, and so the birds who don't usually fly at night, they have poor vision in the dark. That makes them particularly vulnerable to mishaps after being unnerved by fireworks. Now, I do have to ask the question, if this is all true, guys, why doesn't it happen on the 4th of July? But we'll come back to that in a minute. Okay, and this year, fireworks were again involved. Okay, but this year's spooking seems to have been premeditated. Officials say that roughly 200 dead birds appeared to have been the victims of intentional crime. But I have to break in here. Initially, that was the report. It was 200 birds. But in the morning, they said, no, wait, it's 2,000 birds, Fox News reported. And by later Sunday afternoon, the count was over 5,000. So once again, we're over 5,000. And that is critical to the story if it would have got in there, because kind of kills this theory. But let's read it anyway, because it is still a good question. Fireworks were once again involved, but this year's spooking seems to have been premeditated. Officials say the roughly 200 dead birds appear to have been the victims of intentional crime. We know that there was evidence of fireworks set off in the middle of the roost, and it wasn't a coincidence, reads an Arkansas Game and Fish Commission statement. So that's the official statement by the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. Indeed, says one resident, we started hearing the fireworks going off and some gunshots going off in the air. Okay. Give me one second. I'm sorry. Going off in the air. And it really seemed like people were trying to recreate last year's New Year's Eve. Okay. Does everyone buy this explanation? The article says, no. Plenty of people are doggedly interpreting this year's incident as yet another sign of the apocalypse. Indiana pastor Paul Begley, for one, remains convinced that the bird deaths prove God is fulfilling the Hosea Prophecy. I wish they would have said, of which he has written a book, but that's okay. In which humanity is punished for many sins. This is good they wrote this. So Begley's saying Indiana pastor Paul Begley, for one, remains convinced that the bird deaths prove God is fulfilling the Hosea prophecy in which humanity is punished for its many sins. Quote, "It's time to listen to the word of the Lord," he says. Unquote. Awesome. 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 I want to thank the writers there at Yahoo News because I think this is a fair article. I think it's fair. You can't expect people, just the news media, just to grab your interpretation of what's going on and run with it and say, that's it, Begley's right, that's it, lock it down, there's no use investigating. No, you can't expect anybody to do that. And so they're doing some very fair journalistic work here. Really, they are. Because you notice here, I'm not being portrayed as some, Woody Harrelson in the movie 2012 saying, "It's beautiful, I see the apocalypse." They're not doing that to me. Instead, they're saying, look, last year, we think it might have been fireworks that caused this. This year, we think it is again because they started shooting these things off early and birds started dying early. Okay? So they're doing some, and they got some quotes from, according to Arkansas officials, they got quotes from the Arkansas Game and Fish Commission. Okay? So they're doing some fair journalistic reporting. And then to prove they're being fair, they could have stopped right there, put a period at the end of that quote, not even bring up Pastor Begley's theory, and went on with business. But no, they did decide to put my theory in there and to quote me and to watch my YouTube video about it that I did just after it happened, New Year's Eve. And you guys know that were with me on the New Year's Eve service that I was doing live on Blog TV and Ustream.com and my own website, paulbegleyprophecy.com. We were simultaneously broadcasting live on New Year's Eve. 3 chat rooms were going. We had almost 400 people in the chat rooms when the blackbirds started falling dead in Beebe, Arkansas again, and news broke across television stations across Arkansas and around the world. So I want to say good job to Yahoo News. I think they did a great job of the article. I think it's fair journalism, and they quoted the key thing that what I said was, I'm convinced it is fulfillment of Bible prophecy in the book of Hosea, chapter 4, 1, 2, and 3. And they quote me, which I think is so important. They say it's God bringing punishment upon the earth because of its many sins, which is exactly what Hosea chapter 4, 1, 2, and 3 says. And then they even say, Begley quote, "It's time to listen to the word of the Lord." Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Are you saved? Because obviously, when you even have mainstream news, all last year, whether it was the Comet Elenin story or it was the Blood Lake in Texas or it's these dead birds in Hosea and dead fish and dead cows, obviously, even mainstream news now is beginning to ask the question, are these signs of the apocalypse? Especially when the Mayan Indians are already saying that the end of the age is coming on December 21st, 2012. And Nostradamus predicted 500 years ago that this great comet is going to come so close to the earth, it was going to create mass destruction in December of 2012. And the galactic equator is going to take place. That's where all of the 9 planets and the sun and the moon will line up in a perfect alignment. And guess what day that will happen? December 21st, 2012. And oh, by the way, my birthday, you got it. It's December 21st, 2012. Now, that's not a sign of the apocalypse. Or is it? I'll be right back. Stay with me. There's a lot going on. If you don't know Jesus as your Savior, now's the time to start considering your salvation and ask Jesus into your heart. People are doing it every day. We're helping people come to Christ. And maybe you need me to help you with that. And I can send you scriptures. I can pray with you. Send me a personal message right here on YouTube in my inbox. Just send me a personal message and title it, "I Want to Be Saved." I want to be saved. I'll be right back.